horrible. The future looks bleak. Remember our childhood to get us through the week. We're getting re-enthused. Back to the past and the things we used. We all know that our pasts were great. Escaping the things that today we hate. Getting re-enthused. Getting re-enthused. Getting re-enthused. Getting re-enthused.
Really messy behind that, but you can kind of just see around the huge power supply for the games machine, the games console there, is the N64. This is a Japanese one, and it's a Japanese one because I have the disc drive. The disc drive is kind of cool. It really is. I've got a few games for it, like I've got SimCity 64, which has got a lot more features. Doshin the Giant I've got as well somewhere, also good. I like it. I'm trying to get hold of the F-Zero expansion pack at the moment because I own the Japanese F-Zero game, and if you've got the expansion pack, you can. There's like a map creator, a track creator and stuff. Really want to try that. Hopefully I'll be getting that soon. Next to that, there's a PAL N64. The really good thing about the N64 is because the power supply kind of plugs into the back of the machine, you can just use any one. So this has got my PAL power supply in it, so I literally just move between the two. The reason I do that is because I've got a really old EverDrive 64 which can't be used on Japanese machines, so that's why that's still in there. Talking of which, next to that is the, as Ashens would say, Tower of Power, which is my Mega CD, Mega Drive and 32X, obviously Sega CD Genesis, depending on who you are. At the top of that is another EverDrive with the Mega Drive games. I do tend to buy games that I enjoy playing, if it's all possible. Now it's getting harder and harder to buy those games. Oh, we talked earlier about the X68000 games. Well, the X68000 games, well, from this one, are all on 5¼ floppies. Depending on how old you are, you do not know what these are, but these are not very reliable. Especially if they're stored in a warehouse, which a lot of games are. So that stack of games there, not one of them works. They've all been eaten away by mould, which is kind of a problem because there's at least a couple of games there that I haven't found dumped versions of. So I am trying to fix them, but I'm not getting any luck so far. This one uses the 3.5-inch disc, which is still obviously a little bit unreliable, but not nearly as unreliable as the 5.25. Although hardly any games come out on the 3.5-inch. Right, let's go back down to the shelves. Right, I love this. Is a machine I love. This is the Sharp Twin Famicom. Now, what this is, right? A bit of history. The in Japan, certainly the NES got a floppy disk drive, 3.5. Well, it's like a 3-inch specialised disc system, and that was built by Sharp. And as a favour for doing that, basically Nintendo let Sharp make a few machines, and they made like a television as well. But they also made this, which has got the floppy drive built in, and it's brilliant. I enjoy it for now. So this is basically a NES with the floppy drive. Eventually the floppy drive will die, because they all do. If I'm lucky, it'll be easy to fix. If I'm unlucky, it will be impossible to fix, and I'll cry quite a lot, and then try to get a standalone drive, which are even more unreliable apparently, so that'll be fun. Also plugged into that is the Nintendo 3D system. So this is like a shutter technology 3D thing, and the thing with this is, as soon as you put it on your eyes and try and play a game, you will instantly be violently sick. I don't suffer from motion sickness. I can't play a game for more than a few seconds using this. I don't know if these are faulty, because I mean obviously they could be, they're quite old, but either way I can't use them. It's horrible. Right, now this is the PC Engine Turbo Duo. So this basically is the PC Engine, but with a CD drive on. It's a nice machine. I use this one as my PC Engine daily driver pretty much. As you see there, I've got another flash drive in there. The only issue with this is that the CD drive is like a 1-speed CD drive, and as soon as the CD drive came out, the developers just seemed to want to stick tons and tons of like anime on the discs, and most of it's unskippable, and most of it replays when you die. It's very annoying, but there are some wonderful games which actually are worth the time. Going underneath that, this here, I know you can't see it properly, is the SNK Neo CD. So this is the Neo Geo, but a CD version. It's not as good, I personally don't feel. The games aren't as good. They're still pretty amazing because Neo Geo was well ahead of its time in terms of graphics. But it's not as good, but I do like the machine. It's quite a nice machine. Right. Switching around to the next one. So this, you all know this one. This is the PlayStation. The original PlayStation. Sony's entry to the market. And like I say, it's a brilliant machine. It's a wonderful machine. And I really do believe this is genuinely what was to blame. I said, what to blame? This is the thing that is really could be credited with saving the games industry and making it into the blockbuster it is now. Although that also means we have to blame Sony for things like loot boxes. So, moving down to the Dreamcast. I know everyone gushes over the Dreamcast, but I do honestly believe it is an underrated machine. It's a shame Sega couldn't tough it out a bit longer. I think it maybe it wouldn't have saved them, but I think it could have lasted longer, and it is a good machine. It really is. It's got some wonderful games on it. Crazy Taxi on it is amazing. It's got the original Offspring soundtrack, which I love. The I said Neo Geo. The Nintendo GameCube. I like it. I don't think it's Nintendo's best console ever. It's got some nice games. Luigi's Mansion I particularly adore. Pikmin on it obviously is wonderful. I just don't think it's their best machine, but it is lovely, and I love having it out because it just looks really nice. So moving around, yes, the Atmark Pippin, or the Bandai Pippin, or the Apple Bandai Pippin. It's kind of Apple's attempt to make a console, but not really. What they did was they kind of partnered with Bandai, who technically knew how to make consoles, although not really, and they just gave them basically the hardware specs for an old Macintosh based on a Power PC. It's awful. I mean, in a time when 3D graphics were the thing, this was not good at 3D graphics. It's got a lot of educational titles on them, and they're all awful as well. So yeah, it's not a great machine, but I think it looks pretty stunning. So that's why it stays out. The Sega Saturn, which was my choice in the 32-bit era. Well, my choice for a bit, and then I realised I'd made the wrong choice, and I went instead to the PlayStation. But it has some great games. Mystaria is a role-playing game and is a fine role-playing game, and everyone should buy it. And the Virtua Fighter was pretty good on it. I know it doesn't get that much of a rap, but it is good. And Virtual Cop is also amazing. Yeah, the this one will be going away soon because it's not a good machine. I kind of like the look of it, which is why it stayed out. This is the Bandai Playdia. It's designed for kids, to be fair, so like the other two on the other side of the room. It's not really designed for me, it's designed for kids. My grandson actually kind of loves one of the games on it. It's this Undersea one, which he kind of worked out how to play. I'm sorry, the camera work on this is going to be horrible. It's an infrared controller, which it's not terrible. You can get a relative distance from it, but it's not great. Yeah, there's just not really any games for it. Most educational, because yeah, it's for kids. You know, can't really blame it for not being my thing, because it's not really designed to be my thing. Right, the Philips CDI. It's awful. I mean, it is. It's kind of dire. It was made to effectively show off the power of CD, and it just didn't do it very well. Obviously, like things like the PlayStation, the Saturn did that job a lot better. Games are terrible. It's got, obviously it's very mostly famous for truly truly awful Nintendo games, and they are truly awful. You know, I'm desperately trying to think of something good to say, which is why I'm stuttering here, but I can't think of anything. Burn Cycle here, it's upside down. Burn Cycle was supposed to be one of the better games, and it's horrible. It's like a kind of on the rails shooter thing where you've got to kind of aim at. It's awful. And there's this golf game which is really annoying. Yeah, it's horrible. Anyway, this is the Amiga CD32. Now, this is a great console, and I genuinely believe that if Commodore hadn't made some terrible business decisions and had some terrible luck, this could have been a real player in the 32-bit market, because it's a very powerful machine. It's got a lot of good games that were able to be ported across quite easily from the Amiga. It's a real shame. The controller's a bit weird, but it's not terrible. It's quite all right to use, actually. I would show you, but I'm kind of lying over a chair at the moment, and I just don't want to get up, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's a good console. The other good thing about it is that there's guys out there now that are porting across Amiga games to be used on it, so they're hacking them so they can be used properly with the boot up. Like Supercars 2 is on it now, which is one of my all-time favourite Amiga games, so I'm really glad for that. Actually, that's it there. And obviously it's entirely legit form. So yeah, no, it's alright. It's a good console. I really like it. I'm glad I own it. I'm getting a CDTV, which is kind of the precursor to this soon. Sort of the precursor. This is based on the Amiga 1200, so it's slightly later end of the Amiga range. The CDTV is based on an A500, the Amiga 500, which is really where the Amiga started in the home. The CDTV is not a great machine, because it was just expensive and it was aimed at the wrong thing. They were trying to take over the living room in the sense of hi-fis and everything, whereas this is just trying to be a game machine, and this did a much better job. But you can use the CDTV games on this. Obviously you can't always do it the other way around, because this is a more powerful machine. But I wanted to run a CDTV. I always wanted to own a CDTV. Not so much I wanted to own one of these, and this was bloody expensive, by the way. But yeah, I got one. I mean, I buy everything I can. I'm terrible with money, and I love machines, so yeah. Yeah, talking of expensive. This one's so bad actually, because I got this and it was sold as not working. So I got it really cheap. I got it for £68, which, as anyone will tell you, a Neo Geo AES is not £68. It's substantially more than that. But it also came with that game, by the way, which is also in itself, I think, worth more than £68. But because it was sold as not working, nobody really bid on it, or people were missing it, I don't know. I got it, and it turned out that whoever owned it had tried to put a mod chip in and done really badly, so I just removed the mod chip and it started working. Brilliant. I'm very happy with that. It's one of my favourite purchases, I think. Because again, it's another machine I've always wanted to own. Well, that's the... I think that's all of the machines up here. There are more things. Not worth showing you, and they'd be hard to show anyway, because there's kind of arcade balls. That's a Neo Geo MVS there, so that's the arcade version of the Neo Geo. Right down the bottom there, you can't really see it, is a Thomas Wave, which is basically an arcade version of the Dreamcast. Lots of games, but they're all on Snaps if you want the Snaps app if you want to see those. Again, lots of games. Just to show you that I do own original games, you know. An awful lot of Famicom games, because I was really lucky in an auction for a whole box of them, and there's some really nice games on there. Lots more games. We have the kind of cupboard of things I don't know what to do with. This is a Sony PSX. It's basically, well, effectively a PlayStation 2 designed to act like a PVR, so you can record TV programs in Japan. Doesn't work, so your driver's completely knackered. I haven't been able to repair it, and I can't hack it well. But I'll keep working on that. I love it anyway. It's just a lovely machine. I found the remote separately, but I got it quite cheap. 2600 Junior, not really worth having out when you've got the 7800. That's the European version of TurboGrafx there, so it's quite large. That's the version of the tiny one that I showed you. So yeah, I don't know why it's that large, but hey. This is the add-on CD drive for the Nintendo. This is the add-on CD drive for the NEC machines. It's really clunky and requires its own power supply and things like that. Oh, that's another broken Neo Geo over there. I haven't been able to repair that one, unfortunately, but again, I got it really cheap, so hey. And that's the first version of the FM Towns Multi. Well, thanks for watching that. I am sure the video quality and the audio quality is going to be awful. I don't apologise for that. That's just how it is. But thanks for watching. This is going to be incredibly long. I will probably split it up in more than one. Thanks very much.